That is a rustic bathroom vanity right there. I've marked it out on the wall. There's where my switches and outlets are going to be. I drew it out on the floor. So let's go out in the shop and build it. So this is the base. It's going to be 19 inches to the outside, and then the upper part, you have a kick plate here. So the bottom is going to be 19 inches. So how do you get that thing square? So you keep all your scrap. This is scrap. I have cut this down to 17.5 inches, and it's perfectly square. So now, I think I'll put this big piece down here. But by doing that, you now have something to squeeze against. I'll show you what I mean. So when you put these babies on there and tighten this up, you have something to tighten this up against. By having this in there and square, the key is it has to be dead nut square. Now you have something to clamp against, and it will wind up to be perfectly square. So I'll do that down at this end. And you just want to make sure that your ends are perfectly aligned, otherwise you'll be a little bit off. Alright, so there's that. And right out here, let's see, I'm going to put two more. So right out here in the middle, I'm going to put another one right out here. Alright, this frame is absolutely square, and I'm going to check. Beautiful. Perfect. When you build anything like this, it has to be perfect. If you think, well, 1/8 inch off, that won't matter. Yes, it will. When you go to putting drawer slides in and putting your drawers in, that 1/8 inch is going to come back and haunt you. So take the time to make sure everything is square. When I make the top for this, I'm going to do the same thing. I'll cut some pieces out of scrap, and put them in there, and then it will be absolutely square. So now I'm just going to screw these in. And these, I'll try to get them. I'll try to get them somewhat, even. You don't want them cockeyed, but I'll try to get them sort of evenly spaced. So right inside the lid on this, pocket hole device here, it has all the screw length, the selection chart. So if you go to it, there's 3/4 of an inch. That's the material thickness. Calls for 1 1/4 inch screw. That's what I've got here. So let's get these babies going. So what I have done is these boards that I cut, I have slid it over so that this piece will be absolutely straight. Straight and square. So that's this. All the corners are absolutely straight and square because of cutting pieces that you can pull up against with your clamps. And if you're like me, I always work alone. I don't have anybody to hold anything for me. So I'm always trying to figure out, how to do this and have a partner without a partner. So anyway, that's the base. And it is perfect. So now I'm going to build the top. It's the same way. I'm going to cut scrap. I'll put the top together exactly the same way. Although on the top, I have to measure over because the sink is offset. And so I've got to allow for that sink. And I'll measure that up. So to the center of the sink is 44 inches. And so I want to make sure I leave plenty so that sink will lay in here and I won't hit one of these boards. So that'll work. So here's the sink. and 20. I think I'll go 24. That'll put those boards if I go 24, then that'll put those boards, you know, out here like this. So what I'm going to do now is put the top and the bottom together, and then I'll just kind of brace it up, and then I'm going to take it in and place it, and then I'll finish all the rest of the framing with it attached to the wall. So right now I'm just making sure everything is square. That looks pretty good. So I'll just continue putting these braces in here, get this all joined together, and then I'll probably just put a couple braces on here and then go ahead and take it. Where we're at right now is the bottom, the top. You saw where I did those out in the shop. Got everything square, and then using the same technique, I turned these pieces up on end, and I put these braces in, and those have set the height. So I still need to put the front pieces in, the floor, the back, but if you haven't figured out by now, I work alone. There's nobody to help me. Everybody's working. Nobody has time. Plus, I kind of think I do better by myself. But if I finished this, because see, I'm going to put a plywood back here, plywood floor, and then of course the front. If I finished this out in the shop and brought it in here, well then I'd have to have somebody help me carry it in. There is nobody. Everybody's working. My wife's working. So I did the important part here out in the shop, which is getting everything perfectly square. And then I brought it in here, screwed it to the wall, leveled, make sure we're all leveled, screwed it on the other end to that wall, and so we're all level. And then I've got a makeshift piece of scrap wood for a brace over there to make sure this all stays level. So now I'm going to bring in a 1/4 inch plywood that I've already cut. It's going to go back here. There's going to be 1/2 inch plywood that's going to go on here. And so I'm going to go get it and we'll put that in. Okay, so this back is in here. I'm going to go cut this floor out. Now, remember that the top sticks out from the floor because you have that kick plate. So I'm going to cut that floor, but I'll bring that floor out where it's even with this front. So you want to keep that in mind or you're going to cut it wrong. And then down here where the plumbing is, I'll bring that floor over, within about 8 or 10 inches of that plumbing. And then when the plumbers come and they remove all this old plumbing and put the new in, then I'll stub in a piece over there, make it all solid. But for now, I'm stuck with that because of that old plumbing that I'm working around in here. What a pain. So I'm going to go cut this floor and then we'll put it in. Here's the bottom cut. It's perfectly level with the face of this, and I put a level on there to make sure. And now I'm going to screw it down. Now back there underneath here, see, I had to stub in some boards so that I had something to screw into back there. So let's just screw this down. But this is, the front of this bottom is flush with this top. So now I'm going to go ahead and put these pieces in as much as I can after I paint this. I'm going to paint this in here, the high gloss, it's kind of a off-white like the ceiling, same paint. I'm going to paint this in here, and then that back seam I'm going to caulk that. I want this in here to be waterproof in case you get a leak or something. So first I'm going to paint it, let that dry, caulk it, and then put these pieces in. So basically what I'm doing here is just making a box. I'm going to go ahead and get some screws started. So here we are, got this vanity all framed up. You know, you could do it'd be easier to do it out in the shop where you could, you know, have it up on a bench and not have to bend over. But in my case, I have nobody to help me carry it in, so I just, as you saw, I did the top, the bottom frame, put the back boards in that you can't see behind here, brought it in here and put it in place, and then finished it out in here. Wasn't that big a deal. So there will be drawers on that end, there'll be drawers on this end. Inside, this is 1/4 inch in here, that's 1/2 inch down there. I painted everything and then caulked the seams. Yeah, just in case something happened that water started leaking, I don't want to, you know, ruining everything. So anyway, the plumbers are supposed to be here today to start plumbing everything in. So I'm going to bring in the top for it and start setting it in place in the sink, and so that it's ready to go for when they get here. So the vanity top, here it is. Of course, it's, you know, just sitting on there. But my face will be 3/4 inch. Actually, not quite. By the time I plane it off, it'll be a little less. But I allowed for that when I built this. And so before I fasten down this top, I am going to before I put this on, I'll put this scrap piece on. And that'll be my spacer, because I want to make sure I've got plenty here to put this face on. So, and like I said, it'll be a little less than 3/4 by the time I plane it off, and this is a full 3/4. So I'm going to put it up there pretty tight and maybe just back off like 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to do the same thing on the